someone who renounced Christianity, and the spear of Longinus and its legend that whoever possessed it would rule the world. This is again the emblem of the Thule Society. Notice the use of the swastika behind the dagger, or the sword, or spear, what do you want to call it. This time it is in a rounded form, but the basic swastika has two forms. This is called the good swastika when the arms rotate to the left. And this is the second swastika when you reverse the first. And this is called the evil or the Nazi swastika. This next quote is from page 66 of the book entitled Freemasonry and the Ancient Gods. It shows the two swastikas side by side, one labeled the swastika with the sun, and the other with the swastika against the sun. And the author goes on to say, the swastika represents today the sun. And once again, the S is capitalized, meaning a god. And it is known that Adolf Hitler personally selected this swastika for his Nazi party in Germany, because the swastikas are universally a symbol of the sun. Here is a picture, a color picture showing the swastika, shown in this color photograph, and notice that they are now inside the white circle. Don't forget that the circle is a symbol of the sun, as is the swastika, which was placed inside it. But notice that the colors of the flag are red in the background, black in the swastika, and of course white behind the swastika. According to page 12 of a book entitled The Masonic Bible, the symbolic colors of the Royal Master Degree are black and red. I'm certain that there are critics right now saying that I'm making too much out of the two colors of red and black. But you have to explain why it is that both Adolf Hitler and the Masons worship the sun god Lucifer, both the Masons and the Nazis were into the occult, and both used the colors red and black as emblematic of something hidden from the public. I think there is a connection. That thought is repeated in Albert Pike's book entitled Morals and Dogma on page 786. Mr. Pike says this about the way that the Masonic temple is to be decorated when it is in the 28th degree, called the Night of the Sun, S-U-N, sun. In this degree, the columns of the hall are white with black and red. The hangings are black and over that crimson. The colors, black, white, and crimson, appear in the clothing. This is Bill Schneblin, a former male witch, a 32nd degree Mason, and a former endowed Mormon. He's written a book entitled Mormonism's Temple of Doom, a book that we will examine more in detail later in this lecture. But at this point, I want to point out one thing that Mr. Schneblin said that is very important now. He said this about the satanic ritual he was familiar with on page 22 of this little book. The lower levels of the Satanists wear black, the Magi wear scarlet or red, and the Magisters wear white. So scarlet, white, and black are significant colors throughout Masonry, witchcraft, and the Nazi Socialist Party of Adolf Hitler in Germany. But to show you that the swastika is in part a Masonic symbol, this is a quote from page Roman numeral 19 of the book entitled Freemasonry and the Ancient Gods. The author, who is a Mason, wrote this: "The swastika, one of the most ancient and sacred of symbols, has no place in speculative Masonry, although it still persists in operative lodges. Operative lodge Masons aver that the omission is due to the fact that Dr. Anderson, who framed the constitutions of speculative Masonry, never attained the rank of a master in an operative lodge and was therefore ignorant of the nature and meaning of the fourfold square." Notice that he was talking about a fourfold square. This is the Masonic symbol once again. This is a combination of the square and the compass. The square is two pieces of metal joined at a right angle so that the Mason can draw straight lines and 90-degree angles. And the swastika is four squares joined together at a central point. But to show you that the use of the swastika has not been eliminated and is still being used today, this is a letterhead of a group called the Religious Coalition for Abortion Rights Incorporated. On the back of this letter, the organization states that their logo combines the symbols of two great religions. This is a close-up photo of the back of this letter that I got in the mail. It goes on to say that the Christian cross is made up of many branches rather than two strokes to represent the many sects of Christianity. Its lower branch is part of a menorah, a symbol of the Old Testament representing both the Jewish faith and the roots of Christianity. The cross and the menorah, this is in their own literature, on the back of the letter, the cross and the menorah are intertwined to demonstrate the unity of purpose of this coalition. Their letterhead says that the following are members of this coalition: the American Jewish Congress, Catholics for a Free Choice, the Christian Church, meaning Disciples of Christ, the Episcopal Church, the National Council of Jewish Women, the Presbyterian Church of USA, meaning United States of America, presumably, the Union of American Hebrew Congregations, United Methodist Church, and the United Synagogue of America. So here we see some of the major Jewish and Christian organizations united to support a woman's right to an abortion. And they selected this logo as their symbol of unity. And there's the names on the bottom of that. Some of those I just read. But they didn't tell you that their logo conceals a hidden swastika. So I cut the swastika out of their logo and put it off to one side and put the piece of pink paper behind. There is no question that it is there. You might want to ask your group, if I mention them by name, as to why they combined the Christian cross, the Jewish menorah, and the swastika when they formed their logo. Notice how they concealed a hidden swastika and that Jewish organizations supposedly did not see it. I'm sure it is just an artist's mistake and that the swastika is not really there. This is another use of the swastika. This is a drawing of an Indian thunderbird with a swastika shown on its chest. This drawing was part of a flyer prepared by Arizona's state-run highway commission prior to World War II. This symbol also appeared all over our state highways until Adolf Hitler used it in World War II and it was removed. This is a close-up of the thunderbird on the flyer, and the symbol is carrying a swastika on its chest. And this is a similar drawing of a thunderbird on another flyer put out by the Arizona Highway Commission. It also has a swastika on its chest. One of the original founders of the Thule Society was Rudolf von Sabbatendorf. He wrote this: "I intend to commit the Thule Society to this combat. I swear it on this swastika, on this sign which for us is sacred, in order that you hear it, O magnificent sun." So here we see that both the sun and the swastika are connected to the Thule Society. Notice that the Thule Society is engaged in a combat between the sun worshippers and the rest of the world. Adam Weishaupt created the Illuminati on May the 1st, 1776, May Day. May Day has traditionally become a holiday amongst the worshippers of the secret religion. Albert Pike told us why. He said the festival was in honor of the sun. The Illuminati worshiped the sun, and George Washington told us that the Illuminati worshiped the devil. The witches know why the 1st of May, called May Day, is important. The witch that wrote this book, entitled The ABCs of Witchcraft, wrote this: "There is a witch's custom of coming to a prehistoric English ring to see the sun rise on the morning of May Day. And the reason is because May Day is the traditional beginning of summer." But sun worship is a lot older than 1776. It is discussed in the Bible. This is Ezekiel chapter 8, verses 15 and 16, and it reads, "And he," meaning the Lord God, "brought me," meaning Ezekiel, "into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord were about 25 men with their backs towards the temple of the Lord. And these 25 men worshipped the sun toward the east. And then the Lord God called that practice, that worship of the sun toward the east, an abomination. These men had turned their back on the worship of the Lord and were worshiping the sun in the direction of the east." Notice the east is where the sun god rises each morning. That is why they worship towards the east. They were acknowledging his rebirth in the morning. Another mention of this practice is in Deuteronomy chapter 17, verses 2 through 4, and then 7. If there be found among you any man or woman that hath gone and served other gods, and worshiped them, either the sun or the moon, and if it be true that such an abomination is wrought in Israel, so thou shalt put the evil away from among you. The God of the Bible told the people that there were sun worshippers in Israel, and that their worship was an abomination to the Lord, and that they were to put it away from amongst their midst. Yet the Masons worship the sun in the east. Albert Pike told us, our lodges are said to be due east and west because the master represents the rising sun. The sun, the next slide, the sun, his is the all-seeing eye in our lodges. Once again, the capital S and the word sun. Their master, meaning their president, sits in the east. Their master is a man, but he represents the rising sun. And the rising sun represents the rising god, Lucifer. Masons in America worship the sun in the east, and the Bible has told us to put them away from us. Now, I'm not advocating violence, but I am advocating that we expose the Masons as being worshipers of the sun god, so that we can know who they are and then have nothing to do with them. Because if we do not do as we are commanded by the Lord God, we will get the consequences of our disobedience. We will get the new world order. May I now make this call to anyone watching this video today. If you are a Mason, check me out. And if I am right, then get out. You have been told to do so by the Lord God. He has called your worship an abomination. It is time to leave, to resign, to get out. If you know someone who is a Mason, show him this video on the subject. Let them learn who it is that they worship, and then urge them to get out. It is time to put the Masons away from us. To further prove my contention that the Masons know who it is that they are worshiping, let me continue with some of the writings of the high-ranking Masons. This is once again Henry C. Clausen, the past Sovereign Grand Commander of the 33rd degree Masons. This man, until he resigned, or I believe he resigned a few years ago, was the #1 Mason in the world. He has told us where it is that one learns who the sun god truly is. He has written that in the magazine, that the lodges, he has written that it is in the Masonic lodges where the true knowledge of the one supreme deity is given. It is here inside the Masonic lodge that the Mason learns who the God of the universe truly is. Now, it is commonly thought that religion is to teach mankind who the one true God is. But the Masons say that they are the ones with the true knowledge. If that is true, then humanity does not need religion. And if we don't need religion, why not abolish it? That is just another confirmation that the Masons are out to destroy religion. Now, it is a fair question to ask, who is that supreme deity? A supreme deity is one over all religions, one that is common to all, and I'm saying that Lucifer is that one supreme deity. We, the public, have it all wrong. Lucifer is the true God of the universe, and you learn that in the lodge. The Masons have told us that themselves. To show you that the Masons worship the sun as a symbol of Lucifer, let me once again quote Albert Mackey from his encyclopedia. Mr. Mackey wrote, "The sun is then presented to us in Masonry, first as a symbol of light, but then more emphatically as a symbol of sovereign authority. The sun is a symbol of a sovereign. A sovereign means one who rules. That sovereign is in authority. Their sovereign is their God, and that sovereign is Lucifer." Now let me prove that statement. Albert Pike wrote in his book entitled Morals and Dogma, if you will reflect, my brother, you will no doubt suspect that some secret teaching was concealed in these words. In other words, the secret is not stated directly. You have to look for it. It is concealed, but it can be found. And it is the obligation